So I sing a simple song. I've never been so much in love, and never hurt so bad at the same time.
Legendary singer-songwriter Graham Nash is a two-time Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee with Crosby, Stills and Nash and with the Hollies. He was also inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame twice as a solo artist and with Crosby, Stills and Nash, and he is also a Grammy Award winner. We are very fortunate to have him joining us via the telephone line. Graham Nash, welcome to the airwaves of KVMR.
Thank you, Jenny. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Absolutely wonderful. It's a beautiful rainy day here in Nevada City.
Well, if anything, I love the rain, that's for sure.
I do too. I'm one of those rainy day people.
Me too.
Well, we are delighted that you're returning to our special little corner of the world, performing in concert this coming Sunday night, March 26th, 8 p.m. at the Grass Valley Veterans Memorial Auditorium, along with guitarist Shane Fontaine accompanying you.
Yes.
What can the audience expect from your show that evening?
I think as a musician and as a performer and as a human being, I want a couple of things. I want my audience to get value for their hard-earned money, and I want to see them smiling as they're leaving.
That's a great thing to want.
Yeah,
expect
but it's
them.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to earn $1 nowadays. You have to be very careful where you spend your money, and the fact that people are spending their money to come and see me is an incredible compliment.
Thank you. And Graham, $1 of each ticket sold for your shows goes toward the Guacamole Fund. Now, for those who may be unfamiliar, share with us what that organization is and how you got involved with it.
Let me see. Okay. Guacamole is run by our friend Tom Campbell. Tom Campbell and Guacamole are responsible for probably about 85-90% of the benefits that we've ever done. They are famous for taking money and giving it to organizations that are fighting the good fight against nuclear power, against putting nuclear waste in Indian American land, not on white property. The Guacamole Fund has been incredibly responsive to artists like Jackson Browne and Bonnie Raitt and myself. And as I said, we love Tom Campbell. He's been straight in terms of giving the money away to the right people. And we have been dealing with Guacamole 30 years.
Thank you. And people can find out more at guacfund.org. It's a wonderful organization.
It is.
Yeah. So, Graham, when I first heard your 2016 release, This Path Tonight, it immediately felt to me like a collective statement. I could sense that the songs were reflecting an incredibly personal journey for you. I mean, your songwriting has always felt that way to me, Graham, and I think why I and so many others have felt a deep connection to your music. And I've heard you say that you write from your life. There are stories that happen to you and that you see around you. How does that relate to the songs written on this album?
A great deal, really. Like you said, I'm a human being exactly the same as you. I get up in the morning and I realize I'm alive and I get on with my day. What I do as a musician is try and bring ideas and information to people that they may not necessarily see in their day-to-day workings, And I have to feel something before I write about it. I have to research. I have to make sure I've got my information right before I can really start to put together a song that I think is worthy of singing to people. This Path Tonight is an emotional journey that I'm going through in my life right now. Fortunately, I'm a couple of years into this new relationship with my girlfriend, Amy Grantham, and everything is going swimmingly well. I know it was a courageous decision to make at this time in my life, to divorce my wife of almost 40 years. And it's a decision I've made that I am completely happy with right now.
Thanks for sharing that with us. Well, we are speaking with Graham Nash, performing this Sunday, March 26th, at the Grass Valley Veterans Memorial Auditorium in an 8 p.m. show. Well, Graham, your career has spanned more than 5 decades and counting. And though you are certainly playing new material for your audience, you're likely playing the old favorites you know your audience wants to hear. So can you tell me what keeps it fresh for you?
I've been starting my show with Bus Stop. Mm-hmm. And, for years, I didn't talk about the Hollies with David and Stephen. I mean, you don't talk about your new girlfriend to your old girlfriend or about your old girlfriend to your new girlfriend unless you're crazy, right? So I never talked about the Hollies with David and Stephen for years. And I kind of put them and everything we did at the back of my mind. But recently, within the last 10 years, I've been really listening to what the Hollies did as a band. And I'm very proud of my work with the Hollies. I thought we did a really great job. As a matter of fact, I was more elated with the Hollies being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame than CSN. With CSN, I kind of knew that eventually we would. Because we had such a wonderful following and millions of fans, etc. So I kind of knew that CSN eventually would get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But the Hollies seem to have been forgotten. And the rule with Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in case you don't know, is that it has to be 25 years after your first recording. Well, this was many, many years after the Hollies' first recording, of course, which was over 50 years ago. And so I was more pleased for the Hollies than I was for CSN, particularly for my friend Alan Clark, who started the Hollies with me. It was great for him to be recognized as one of the great lead singers in a pop band.
Well, speaking of that time frame and music from that era, with the political climate as it is, do you think we'll see the same vital and important songs like those recorded in the 60s and 70s?
Here's what's going on. The people that own the world's media, you could probably count on 2 hands. And the first thing they don't want to happen is for anyone to rock the boat. Is for anyone to disturb the status quo. But that's our job as musicians, I find. We're just people that go from town to town telling everybody that the emperor really doesn't have any clothes. That's our job. I think that's our job. I think that every musician has a duty to tell the truth as far as he can, and to also reflect the times in which we live. And that's what I've been doing all my life. I've been reflecting the times in which we're living. And today's political climate is it seems insane right now, doesn't it? It does. I mean, it's insane. I mean, this morning, the Republican repeal of Obamacare and replacement failed miserably, as it should have. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you bring a bill to replace something and knock 24 million people off insurance, that's a bad bill. And even the Republicans thought it was a bad bill, and they reflected that this morning with their rejection and failure of the Affordable Health Care Act, which is what the Republicans tried to stuff down people's throat as much as possible and as quickly as possible.
Yes.
So yes, I reflect the times in which we live. I write songs about David Brown, who was a black teenager killed in Ferguson in Missouri. We have to talk about the things that are happening in our lives. That's my responsibility as a musician. I'm not just there, singing silly songs for money. I know that that's a part of it, but times are too important. What's going on, politically is way too important. I'm incredibly thrilled when I saw the Women's March after the election. To see, a million women letting white men know that, quite frankly, I think the patriarchal society is over. I think that women are not going to be treated as second-class citizens anymore. I think they're going to demand their rights, and I think that the women's movement in this political climate is incredibly important and incredibly necessary, and should have been here years ago, but wasn't. But I think that the power that women are recognizing that they have is great as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Graham, okay, it's time for the nerdy fan moment. Are you ready?
Yes. I love nerdy fans.
Oh, good, because I am one. I've been, a broadcaster on this wonderful community radio station for 25 years now, and in that time I have conducted hundreds of interviews with artists I admire a great deal. But this one, my friend, is big for me. So, true confession. So thank you kindly.
Fantastic.
Thank you kindly for humoring me.
It's my pleasure, Jenny.
Oh. You're a musician, you're a songwriter, philanthropist, author, photographer, visual artist, social and environmental justice advocate. An impressive resume, Graham. You've certainly lived and continue to live a life of purpose and meaning. Of all these pursuits on your journey, what among them would you want to be remembered for the most?
I'd like to be remembered as a human being that cared and tried to make the world a better place.
Good one. Thank you.
There's nothing else you can do. You have to realize, I realize I'm an incredibly lucky man. I've been in charge of my own life since I was 18 years old, and here we are. I'm now 75 years old, and I have just as much passion and just as much energy to try and make the world a better place than I ever did.
You're very blessed.
Yes.
Well, we've been speaking with Graham Nash, performing this Sunday evening at the Grass Valley Veterans Memorial Auditorium, 8 p.m. show. Tickets and information at thecenterforthearts.org. Graham, immeasurable gratitude for you taking the time to visit with us today.
You have to understand something. That you and your ilk and your people are incredibly important in the link between my mind and my audience. How else do we get music out there if it wasn't for you people? Seriously. You are incredibly important, and I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you. Thanks, Graham. Well, safe travels to you, my friend, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Fantastic. I'll see you in Grass Valley, Jenny.
Okay. Thanks, Graham.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So your brother's bound and gagged, and they've chained him to a chair. Won't you please come to Chicago just to sing? In a land that's known as freedom, how can such a thing be fair? Won't you please come to Chicago for the help that we can bring? We can tear